For today's lesson, we're going to be talking about fractions, decimals, and percents, and how we can switch back and forth from each of these. So first, let's talk about how we can convert from percents into decimals. So to convert from percents into decimals, you will first remove the percent symbol, and then move the decimal place 2 spaces to the left. Now take a look at example 1. We're trying to change these percentages into decimals. So 70%, we first get rid of the percent symbol, and then the decimal place is implied to be after the 0, and now we're going to move it 2 spaces to the left. So now the decimal place will be right before the 7. So this is going to be 0.7, or normally we would write a 0 before the point, so this would be 0.7. Alright, the next one we have 4.5%. So again, we'll start by taking off the percent symbol. So we have 4.5, and then we're going to take that decimal place and move it 2 spaces to the left. Now you notice here that when we move the second time, we have nothing there. So we're going to have to put a placeholder in there in order to move the decimal place. So this would be 0.045. So this is equal to 0.045. Generally, we put a 0 before the decimal place so that we can see where the decimal place is. Otherwise, sometimes that decimal gets lost. All right, in the next one, we have 0.25%. So again, take off the percent symbol, and we'll move that decimal place 2 spaces to the left, 1, 2. And again, we have an empty space there. We'll put a 0 as a placeholder, so this will be 0.0025. So 0.0025 will be our answer here. All right, so that's converting from percents to decimals. Now let's go the other way, converting from decimals into percents. So to do this, you want to first move the decimals 2 spaces to the right and then add the percent symbol. So this is the exact opposite of what we just did. So let's say you had 4.5. You would start by moving the decimal place 2 spaces to the right, and then put a placeholder there. So this will be 450. So this is 450%. Add that percent symbol once you're done moving the decimal place. All right, the next one we have 40. I put 0.0 there for you. We're going to move that decimal place 2 spaces to the right. We're going to have to add in a 0. So this is going to be 4,000. Tack on the percent, so this is equal to 4,000%. All right, the next one, 12.5. Again, move the decimal place 2 spaces to the right. And then we'll have to put in any zeros. So this is going to be 1250. Tack on the percent symbol, so this is 1,250%. All right, now let's talk about fractions in all of this. So how do you write a percent as a fraction? Well, you'll remember that percent means out of 100. So what you will do is you will write that percentage over 100 and then simplify the fraction if possible. So in example 3, we have 30%. Take off the percent and we're going to write it as over 100 because that's what percent means. So 30 over 100. And then if you can simplify that fraction, which in this case you can, this will end up being 3 over 10. So 30% is 3 over 10 as a fraction. All right, 12%. So this is going to be 12 over 100. It looks like we can simplify this a little further. In fact, both of those are divisible by 4, which will leave us with 3 over 25. All right, and then the last one here, we have 55%. Write that as a fraction. That would be 55 over 100. And see if we can simplify that any further. And it looks like we can because both are divisible by 5. So this will end up being 11 out of 20. Okay, now let's go the other way. How do you write a fraction as a percent? So say you're given a fraction and you want to write it as a percentage. Well, first, you'll have to write the fraction as an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator. Just like when we had to find equivalent fractions, when we were trying to add or subtract fractions, you'll do the same thing here, except that your denominator is going to be 100. And then you will cross multiply. Alright, so the first one we have 1/4. So I'm going to say I need to write this as an equivalent fraction over 100. So I'm going to set this equal to x over 100. Whatever x is going to be the percentage. Alright, so now we can cross multiply. So we have 4x equals 100. Divide both sides by 4 and we get x equals 25. So in this case, we have x equals 25 and 25 is over 100. So this means this is 25%. Alright, the next one we have 2/5. So again, we want to write this as an equivalent fraction over 100. So this is equal to x over 100. Now we cross multiply, so we have 5x equals 200. Divide both sides by 5, and we get x equals 40. So this is going to be 40%. Alright, the next one we have 1/7. So again, writing this as an equivalent fraction over 100, we say this is equal to x over 100. Cross multiply, we have 7x equals 100, which means x is equal to 100 over 7. Now if we want to get at least some approximate value here, we'll want to go ahead and actually divide this. So 100 divided by 7, that goes in once, times 7, subtract that, we get 3, bring down the 0. 30 divided by 7 goes in 4 times, it's 28. Leaves us with 2. So it's about 14%, a little bit more, but approximately 14%. Alright, the last examples here. For these examples, you're going to be asked about percentages. You might be asked, what is this percentage of a certain number? The easiest thing to remember here is any number you see after of is always going to be in the denominator. Any number you see along with an is should be in the numerator. And then anything you see as a percent, write it at over 100. If you see what percent, that means x over 100. You don't know what percent it is. Okay, so for this first one, what percent of 42 is 6? So of 42, so 42 should be in the denominator, is 6, so 6 should be in the numerator. And then what percent? So that's x over 100 because we don't know what percentage it is. So 6 over 42 equals x over 100. And then now to solve this, we're going to cross multiply. So we have 42x equals 600. So that gives us x is about 14. So this is 14%. All right, the next one, 24% of 60 is what? So 24%, we can write that as 24 over 100. And then of 60 means 60 goes in the denominator. Is what, or is x, that should go in the numerator. So this is going to be x over 60. All right, and now we can go ahead and cross multiply. So we have 100x equals 24 times 60, which is 1440. Divide both sides by 100, and we have 14.4. All right, and the last example we have here says 5 is what percent of 40? All right, so we see 5 is, so that goes in the numerator, of 40, so 40 goes in the denominator, and then what percent? That means x over 100. All right, so once we have that, we can go ahead and cross multiply. So 40x equals 500. Divide both sides by 40, we get x is equal to 12.5. So this is 12.5%.